want to let everyone in this room know that there are hundreds of people standing outside who are not able to get into this building. And so when we communicate messages back to France, back to Paris, please, Mr. Consul General, Mr. Ambassador, please let them know, both Jewish French persons as well as non-Jewish French persons, that we are here in numbers. Ambassador Rallies.
Thank you so much, Michael. Ambassador Delattre, Consul General Rallies. I'm speaking here on behalf of my dear colleague, Ambassador Kosher, who's sitting there in the front row. Tonight is a night of mourning and grieving, but also of solidarity. Just as we're gathering here, there are millions of people all around the world sharing the grief and the sorrow with the French people. You know, as someone who was raised in Israel, I don't know how many American Jews are aware of the fact that the French culture has so greatly influenced the culture of Israel. I grew up in a small town called Holon, south of Tel Aviv, on a street named after Dr. Chaim Weizmann, but right next to it was a street called Leon Blum. And we were proud to study in high school the works of people like Roland Barthes and Claude Lévi-Strauss. We were proud that our artists and our creative people flocked to France in the hundreds, if not in the thousands. In fact, until this very day, there's a very vibrant community of Israeli creative talent in France. The French language is one of the 4 most spoken languages in Israel, after Hebrew, Arabic, and Russian. In fact, I would say that there are more French-speaking Israelis than English-speaking Israelis. And of course, when something happens in France, such a tragedy, we share the grief, we share the sorrow with you. Every Israeli soldier learns one of the first things they teach us in the Israel Defense Forces in the preparation to be able to counter terrorist attacks is to understand that in order for the terrorist to carry out his plan, his attack, 3 preconditions have to exist. The first is the terrorist has to have the capabilities, the means to carry out the attack. The second thing that the terrorist has to have is the opportunity to carry out the attack. And lastly, and most importantly, the terrorist has to have the motivation to carry out the attack. When you have all 3 preconditions at the same time, all 3 elements converge at the same time, then the calamity occurs. Then the calamity takes place. Of all the 3 things that we learned about in the Israel Defense Forces, I can say, as you heard from other speakers here tonight, that motivation is perhaps the most difficult to combat. You can deprive people of the capabilities to carry out the attack. You can try to minimize and limit the opportunity to carry out the attack. But the motivation, the ideological background, the ideological foundation is perhaps the most difficult element to crack. And I have to say, we in Israel, as our Prime Minister said today in Paris, we're all too familiar with the grief that comes with the fact that we've been under a century-old onslaught carried out largely by radical Islam. I have to say to our French brothers and sisters, it's not what you do that bothers them. It's what you stand for that bothers them. We were led to believe that it has something to do with our policies. It has everything to do with the things that we believe in, the things that we cherish, that we hold near and dear to our hearts. Charlie Hebdo represents freedom of speech. Kosher supermarket represents freedom of religion. Just as other terrorist targets represented throughout history, those elements that bother them. So tonight, my friends, I'm here on behalf of not just the Israeli government, on behalf of the entire people of Israel, to express our solidarity with the French people and to tell you we will not only stand by you as we've always done, we will be right there, spearheading the effort to combat terrorism. God bless you.